Shots fired on the south side of Sheboygan. Acuity in Sheboygan recognized by Forbes. Sheboygan makes top 10 cities to live in, Wisconsin. These and other local stories are coming up on this edition of Community News Review.
This is Community News Review, a service of WSCS TV, news content provided by WHBL.
I'm Maddie Pfister, and this is Community News Review for Friday, June 28, 2019. Sheboygan police are looking for a suspect in connection with a shooting incident that happened this week. No one was injured, but shots were fired during Tuesday's shooting near Fox Grove here in Sheboygan. This all started as Sheboygan police responded to a domestic disturbance in the area of Moaning Road. During the disturbance, the suspect apparently exited the victim's residence and entered a vehicle to leave the scene. The suspect has been identified as 25-year-old Keenan Gardner of Racine. As Gardner entered the vehicle, an unidentified subject exited the same vehicle and fired multiple rounds into the victim's residence. The passenger is described as a black male, 61, weighing approximately 145 pounds. The vehicle is an older model Chevrolet Malibu, gray in color, with unknown rear plate. Police believe the suspects in this incident are known to each other and there is no threat to the community. Police are actively seeking Gardner, and anyone with any information about this incident, the whereabouts of Gardner, or the identity of the shooting suspect is asked to contact the Sheboygan Police. A Sheboygan-based business is recognized by Forbes. Acuity has been named the inaugural Forbes list of America's Best in-State Employers of 2019 and is ranked at number 2 in the state of Wisconsin. According to Forbes, America's Best in-State Employers were identified based on an independent survey, and officials say the survey comes from a sample of 80,000 U.S. employees working for companies employing at least 500 people. Acuity was also named to Forbes America's Best Mid-Size Employers list, as well as to Forbes Best Employers for Women and Best Employers for Diversity. Last year, Acuity also earned Silver Stevie Award for Great Employers. A strike continues here in Sheboygan. Sheet metal workers Local 18 has been on strike since June 20th. Apparently, the strike involves a dispute with East Central Wisconsin Sheet Metal Contractors Association, and the dispute apparently involves what is being described as employers' unfair labor practices. According to the Local 18, thus far, this association has refused to meet the union about the contractual disputes. According to a recent press release, the union and its Sheboygan area members will continue to stand up to the association and demand that it meets and bargains with the union in good faith on all matters. As for now, the strike is still ongoing. The legislature has finished its budget work, and now will the governor sign it? State Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald said Wednesday that members of his Republican caucus were skittish because of the potential for vetoes from Governor Tony Evers. "I don't ever remember a budget document getting this much scrutiny prior to the legislation voting on it," Fitzgerald said. The state Senate passed the budget 17-16 with Republicans David Craig and Stevie Naz voting no, along with all Democrats. Wednesday's debate was not as long as that in the Assembly, which lasted 10 hours on Tuesday. The Republican Senate majority turned back a number of amendments offered by the Democrats. Republican Senator Rob Cowles said he felt confident that the budget would pass. "It is a good budget. It puts a good chunk of money into schools, some into corrections, and it does not raise taxes. We do spend some money, but there is also a tax cut for middle-class folks." Senator Cowles says that the big question is what happens now that is on the governor's desk. "I recognize that the governor has the authority to potentially or partially veto elements of this bill or the whole bill itself. The budget that is on its way to Governor Evers' desk is incredibly disappointing compared to what he originally introduced, said Senator John Arpanak, a Democrat who serves on the Joint Finance Committee. As the Assembly, Senate Democrats called out the majority for rejecting $1.2 billion of federal money to expand Medicaid, which has been a foundation of Evers' people's budget. Still, Fitzgerald is optimistic that Evers will sign the package, which Republicans have characterized as a compromise. And I think he will. I've urged him every time that we have met in his office to give that a lot of thought, Fitzgerald said. I think it would be difficult to reassemble the legislature, bring them back, and then work on the policy discussions from a different perspective. Evers has a number of options now, from partial vetoes of the $81.7 billion spending plan to vetoing the entire package. A rash of car thefts is currently being investigated here in Sheboygan. Police are warning people to be especially cautious and always keep your cars locked. Police say recently they have received several reports of thefts from vehicles in different parts of Sheboygan area. They say these crimes are very preventable. They say the best preventative action is to remove your personal property from your vehicle and always lock your cars. Police say these thefts are usually committed by juveniles, opportunists, and those seeking to make money for addictive reasons. In the recent rash of thefts, police say none of the vehicles were locked and personal property was left out in the open. They're advising people to be vigilant and report any suspicious behavior, asking around parked cars. The Coast Guard, Fire Department, Sheboygan Police all responded to reports of an overturned boat just off of North Point in Lake Michigan Sunday morning. The boater was about 75 miles from the shore, and rescue crews determined that with the high waves and south winds, the stranded boater would not be able to get back to shore by themselves, and they were concerned about hypothermia. A member of the fire department put on a wetsuit and swam out to the 36-year-old man and pulled him to the shore. The man did not require hospitalization, and he was treated at the scene. And finally, according to the Chamber of Commerce, Sheboygan is the top 10 places to live in Wisconsin. Over 2,500 cities were assessed based on 5 factors, those being employment, housing with mortgage, including monthly housing costs, quality of life, including work commute and poverty levels, education, and overall health of residents. Sheboygan came in 10th place following Brookfield, Middleton, Mequon, Sun Prairie, Pewaukee, Hudson, De Pere, Menominee Falls, and New Berlin at number 9. And that is our report for today. Join me again on Monday for more local news and information on Community News Review.
News content for this program provided by WHBL in cooperation with WSCS TV.